are going to be spawning in the bottom right side. It is going to be BeastyQt. And up in the top left side, it is going to be nobody's Sting. He currently doesn't have a team, as I believe he recently is now teamless. So I kind of want to see who exactly is going to pick him up. And I'm sure a lot of teams are going to be watching this series today, seeing exactly what he has planned. And also, I think it's very interesting to see a player play who currently isn't practicing on a team, because it does make it tough to pick a player that you practice with, you can talk your strategies over with, play 100 games before a tournament, and try and figure out what you're going to do. Sting, while he may still have that advantage, it's going to be more difficult for him. Oh, there we go, does drop his depot there. But I'm kind of curious to see how this one plays out, because the first two games have just been weird.
Yeah, I mean, they are just not really that telling about what either of the players wants to do, what their overall plans are, where their edges come from. This map, I do think, will help reveal it. I think the most important formation is going to be, if you look at the connection between the fat ramp outside the natural expansion and the cliff for the main. Sieging tanks up there can easily help a player drill towards the main or the natural expansion, one of the two. It's just a very, very difficult spot to hold, and I like the fact that we're seeing Sting go for gas first. Can help equip him to do that sort of pressure early on.
Especially since we're not going to be seeing any sort of proxy right now. You can see both players dropping down the barracks inside their main base. The depot is going to be at the ramp as well. In goes the 3 SCVs into gas right away. This does open up the ability to get the tech lab right away. You can either go for early upgrades for your Marine Marauder, or go, as Sean mentioned, definitely going for the early siege tanks. And there's also something not to forget, is that Banshees in TVT are very, very common as well. We do see BeastyQt going to be getting his own gas here as well. Is he going to finish up the wall in here for himself? Most likely will go ahead and do that, as he did end up losing that first game with the proxy units, was unable to finally seal that wall down. And then those Marauders just march directly into the main. Does have the SCV there ready to go. Orbitals, of course, going to be on the way. Slightly delayed for Sting because he delayed his barracks.
Yeah, I do think that with BeastyQt getting an eye on all this, BeastyQt needs to go into mega defense mode. He does have his own gas up. It will allow him to have a little bit more of a marine-heavy gas opening, but Sting, I'm curious if Sting actually will be pushing super hard here. It all comes down to whether or not he's going to be building this gas coming up soon. He already did delay his supply depot just a smidge.
Also delayed his orbital there. I actually got the factory before, and it does look like down goes that second gas right there. And what does Beastie have planned for it? He does have a factory of his own. What's the add-on going to be for the barracks? He has lifted that off and re-landed it, but he also has some Marines there on the ramp, which would allow him to expand, but that is not going to be the tech path of choice, or the macro path, I guess, as he does have his own gas as well. So what's kind of going on here, Day9? Because everything seems slightly delayed for Beastie, but it's definitely not because he's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Beastie's doing. He's going for basically a marine-heavy gas opening. He'll certainly be leaving that reactor for the barracks, just be producing the Marines 2 at a time. It looks like Sting is preparing to essentially just do a 1-1-1 style play. He's going ahead and getting out that Hellion. It'll just allow him to do a little bit of scouting, a little bit of map coverage, get that center watchtower, which is quite important, especially considering that he needs his barracks to be doing all that production stuff, like getting the tech lab add-ons. But BeastyQt, I probably like his position a little bit more. He'll be able to get the Viking and tank up a touch sooner. Sting's really banking on BeastyQt doing some sort of early expand, and has he even scouted? No, it looks like Sting is doing his very first ever scout with this one Hellion.
Needs to be careful going up the ramp. Those Marines are there and ready. They do get blasted away there, somehow managing to hit 3 of those Marines right away, and the Hellion will most likely have to retreat very low on the HP. But we do see a Cloak Banshee on the way, as he did begin researching Cloak first. So that's going to be, I believe, done by the time the Banshee actually gets to the main base here. And this is a style of play, a build order that Sting can utilize just to, I wouldn't say get lucky, but at the same time, if the scan is misplaced, if there is no scan, if there's no turret, then you can just crush through, kill a lot of workers, and be in a pretty good spot. But on the flip side of that, if BC intercepts that Banshee, is able to kill it off with just Marines, then, you know, the game is kind of his. He has his own Banshee on the way, which I'm kind of curious to see, how does Cloak Banshee pan out against a regular Banshee?
Well, it's probably going to be a Raven coming out from BeastyQt. And what is this? The Caduceus reactor? Really? That is the Medevac energy upgrade, but this actually...
Wait.
Oh, this is...
I know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's faking the cloak,
Day9.
Faking
the cloak.
I made a mistake of being like, oh my god, he misclicked it, and I read 800 comments of Husky, you're stupid. He is faking the cloak. So thank you, commenter person on YouTube who taught me this.
Yeah, that is the, oh, and it looks like Sting immediately gets deflected. He gets one Marine, but one Marine for one Banshee with Cloak is not a good trade at all.
Banshee, though, wants to be going for the workers, not so much these Marines. You can see the angle right now that Sting is at is kind of forcing him to go for Marines. There you go. Now going to find some of those juicy workers. There is not enough energy here on this command center, but you mentioned a Raven. It's got to be here relatively soon. He's trying to scare the Banshee away. The Banshee is not going to bite, though, as it knows about when that scan's going to be happening here. A lot of Marines being taken out. Almost every single Marine here, and this at this point is becoming well worth it. 11 Marines, and the Raven does spawn. Down it goes. That Banshee, that is the last two Marines here, but he's got his own expansion on the back of this.
Another Banshee coming up as well. We see Beastyqt favoring the Viking. There's the Banshee swinging along the left, trying to do a little bit of damage there as well.
Need to remember that the double Marine production will allow him to get the Marines quickly, but he's only got 2 Marines right now, so he can't even kill his Banshee in a straight-on battle, and he just wants to try and scare it away by using the Ravens, saying, hey, I can see you, and if that means if my Ravens or Vikings get into position, I'm going to be in great shape, and it looks like the Banshee may actually escape here if he angles it absolutely perfectly out of the Viking. I think he's going to micro right on top, begin shooting right away, and will attempt to chase that down. Can he get it, though? I think he might be able to.
Should be able to. If he misses this, that'll be a huge flub, and there he ends up killing off the Banshee. But now is time for Beastyqt to actually make a big push. Did he actually even get siege mode? Ooh, a little weird lifting and landing on the factory, and there he starts siege mode. A nice timing to do this attack, but he has to get into position quickly because he doesn't have that much of a lead on his opponent's siege.
And he also definitely doesn't have a lead on his expansion. Just going to be starting that right now. So Sting, if he plays a little bit more defensive here, is going to be okay. Because you got to remember that the Raven's not that good of an offensive unit. Yes, you can detect Banshees. Yes, you can drop down a turret here or there, but it's a big investment for not a whole lot of attacking power, especially with 2 Vikings as well. Those aren't going to be the best for attacking either. And the Raven did throw down an auto turret there, just using some of its energy to help defend that mineral line. But right now, Beastyqt finally finishing up that command center, but if he wants to get ahead in macro, he's going to have to either do damage to his opponent's economy or build an early 3rd base.
I'm really starting to feel a little leery about Beastyqt's position. He actually must attack right now. You do see him starting to move out. He's even poaching along the bottom left side with that Raven-Viking combination to make sure there's nothing else there. He also deflected that one Hellion. There, the Viking-Banshee mix, Viking-Raven mix, checking around for anything that could go awry, and there, Beastyqt, oh no, a Banshee did sneak its way in.
And the Raven's a little bit out of position here to actually kill off the Banshee here, so it will escape, may even kill off another SCV. So we mentioned he needs to attack now. This army is not looking that great, and he actually has way less than his opponent does right now. The Banshees does finally go down, but I feel like Beastyqt, even just losing that mining time was huge. You saw the SCVs all the way back in the corner of his base instead of mining here.
Oh
and
no, and
like
Sting!
Here he goes, trying to go up the ramp, but big mistake. Gotta be losing that army, completely caught out of position. Even that Hellion is going to be able to do a lot of damage here, chasing this down, and I feel like he may have just lost way too much being in the center.
Oh gosh, I mean, Beastyqt splitting all his units up. If he just sieged up at the money spot and began to press forward, there would have been very little that Sting could have done. And there's the GG!
Wow, losing that game.